So this is the definition of one anecdote or what an anecdote is. Can or does anybody want to help me reading? ¿Alguien le gustaría ayudarme a leer esta partecita? Daniel, okay, thank you.
A short history that illustrates a point the speaker is trying to make. Anecdotes can be real or fictional.
Exactly, yes. Anecdotes can be real or fictional. The idea is that you tell us a story about a real anecdote, yes? It's a short story that illustrates a point, yes, or illustrates something that you want to share, yes? Usually people say anecdotes when they want to make a point, if you are speaking to an audience, yes? So, excuse me for a second here. We have some potential effects on the audience, yes? So we can see here paint a vivid picture in the audience mind, yes? We have helped the audience identify personal connections. This is from the point of view of a speaker, yes? Like you can use anecdotes to connect with an audience. Estos son cuando usamos las anécdotas para conectar con una audiencia, ¿cierto? Cuando es una persona que habla, so an example would be Oprah. Oprah, it's a speaker, yes, and we have different speakers. If you remember one that you can share with us, that would be great, but I remember Oprah right now. The probably is one of these people that tells stories, right? Good. So, okay, now that we have the definition, right? An anecdote can be just funny or can be informative or can be to explain something, right? Yes. Or just to share something, right? It usually makes a point, or sometimes it's just to something funny that you want to share, depending on the moment or the context, right? So when at the beginning, I was sharing with you this structure. Aquí les estaba compartiendo una estructura que me gusta, que encontré que me gusta, right? Entonces aquí dice, write short notes in the boxes, don't write full sentences, okay? So if we take the time, me gustaría que hiciéramos este ejercicio, el de write short notes. ¿Cuáles serían unas notas cortas en cada una de estas? Entonces, before we continue, I want to share with you some tips, right, that we can use when telling a story, yes? So when telling a story, these are the do's. When we say the do's, it's like the things that we are supposed to do. Cuando decimos los do's, son las cosas que se supone que sí estarían bien, ¿no? Take time to think about the question and the story before you start talking. Use narrative sentences, past simple, it could be also past continuous. Use adjectives, sequencing words, this part like first of all, then after that, later on, finally, in the end, yes? Give your story an introduction, right? Give the background, say what happened step by step, right? Keep the action moving, right? Cuando decimos una anécdota, una historia, la idea es que haya acción, right? Contar lo que sucedió. So finish your story or anecdote by saying why it is important to you or why you remember it. Yo le incluiría esto, ¿por qué la recuerdan o por qué fue importante? Both can be correct, okay? Don't take too long. Esto es importante, no hay que tomarse mucho tiempo. Okay, look down or look around, or don't use a flat or board. Voice. I would say no decir una historia tan larga y no usar una voz que sea tan plana, ¿cierto? Ni mirar abajo ni mirar alrededor de la habitación. Okay. examples of storytelling tasks. So we can say about a holiday, we can talk about a holiday that you had, about a difficult journey that you had, about a perfect day that you've had, special event in your life, a birthday you remember, a time when you lost something important, a time when you gave someone a surprise. Esta me gusta mucho. Bueno, me gusta mucho porque les da una idea de pronto las cosas que pueden hablar, pero si no quieren hablar de nada de esto también estaría bien, ¿no? A holiday that you had sería unas vacaciones o un festivo. A difficult journey sería como una jornada difícil, que puede ser una jornada de trabajo, puede ser un día en la universidad, puede ser, ¿sí? A perfect day you've had, un día perfecto que hayas tenido. Tenemos a difficult journey, pero también podríamos decir a happy journey or a satisfactory journey, right? También puede ser una jornada que haya sido satisfactoria o haya sido muy alegre, right? Special event in your life, un evento especial en tu vida, a graduation or when you got married or if you have children when your children were born. So you can describe that, right? About a birthday you remember, un cumpleaños que recuerden. About a time when you lost something important, cuando perdieron algo importante, or when you gave someone a surprise, o cuando le dieron a alguien una sorpresa. Okay, so these are options that we can see here that might be useful, right? Yes? Okay. So, now that we have this in mind, ahora que tenemos esto en mente, entonces ahora sí podemos ir a esta parte. Solamente palabras claves. I want you to think about keywords. Pensemos en palabras claves que podemos poner en introduction, background, action, and wrapping up. Introduction, yes? Es cuando decimos, well, this is a story about a day, or this is the story about my 30th birthday, or this is the story when I traveled to Santa Marta, or this is the story when I had a difficult day at work, yes? So background, pero aquí serían solamente palabras claves, ¿no? Background sería como lo que, el momento en el que estaba, right? Lo que estaba sucediendo, action, lo que pasó, and wrapping up sería como la conclusión, ¿ok? Good. Entonces les voy a dar ahí 2 minuticos, porfa, para que tengan en cuenta esta estructura. So consider this structure, please, ¿ok? So we have introduction, background, and wrapping up, yes? To make some notes of the story that you would like to tell, okay? Okay, Luna. Good. Okay. So, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Les voy a dar un par de minutos para que piensen en las palabras claves que pondrían en cada una de en estos segmentos, ¿no? Okay. Si tienen alguna pregunta, me pueden decir. Bueno, voy a escribirles aquí en el chat estos ejemplos que compartimos por si quieren considerarlos. Okay. Good. The Boys Camp. La semana pasada vimos algo que era The Boys Camp. And in that listening, we kind of learned expressions to tell a story, right? It was specific, but we had some expressions, or we learned some expressions that can be useful. Do you have your ideas ready? ¿Ya tienen algunas ideas ahí listas? Anybody? ¿Tienen algunas ideas por ahí listas? The introduction, background, action. Okay, Daniel, you can share it with us if you want to. Okay.
Introduction. I put this my history day.
Okay, let's do it with the example here. Okay.
And background, I put, for example, I will tell you about an excellent experience in my life.
Okay, let's do it here. I'm going to continue writing, or I'm going to start writing what you just said using the template. Okay. So we can share it here. So you said introduction. Can you repeat that, please?
My history day.
My story day.
Yes.
I'll say the story about my day. Yeah. It might be an option. Yes. Okay, so then we have the next one in background. What would you say?
I will tell you about an experience of my life.
Okay. What was happening? For example, how old were you? Were you a child, or were you a teenager, or were you?
And I was child.
Okay, so this probably is an idea. I was a child. Yes. Okay. To have some background. Then action.
I played in a team.
Played
I
in a
played soccer.
team. Okay, played soccer in a team. Okay, great. Good. And wrapping up.
How do you say Rabian?
Wrapping up is like a conclusion, right?
Okay.
Like to say why it was important to you, or why you remember it.
It was important because I win. I won. How do you say campeonato?
A championship. Championship. Okay, wow, wonderful. That's amazing. Yeah, when we say wrapping up, we're referring to what we consider why this is important to you, of course, or why you remember it. Yes? Good. So these are like probably the questions that you need to consider when you're talking about wrapping up. Okay, good. So thank you for sharing your ideas. So Aymar or Luna, do you have your ideas? Or any ideas about with that? If you don't, that's okay. But if you do, you can share it with us. No? Okay. Okay, great. So the second part that I wanted to share with you, or we're going to do this exercise here. Okay, let me share it with you so that we can write it down as well. So it is about learning some expressions that can be useful. Okay, so here, this one. So here we have some expressions that can be useful. For example, if I'm going to say the introduction, which expressions will I use for the introduction? ¿Qué expresiones de estas podríamos usar en la parte de la introducción?
This is a story about.
Yeah. This is a story about. Yeah. About the day. A day in my childhood. Yes, it could be. Yeah. Or this is a story about. This is a story about school, right? Or this is a story about work, but this is a story about vacation or holidays, yeah? So it depends, yes? So it depends on what you're going to speak about, yes? But this part, it's going to be probably depending on the topic, yes? This story is about, good. What else? This story is about, what else? Could be an introductory sentence.
Maybe of my family.
From the ones that we can see here, esta ya la tenemos, que sería introduction, yes. ¿Qué otra de estas sería introduction?
I'm going to tell you about.
I'm going to tell you about something unforgettable that happened to me. Okay, what else?
Next, at that time I was.
What happened next was. Esto sería lo que pasó después fue tal cosa. Yo diría.
Okay.
This one, when I like to talk about the time when ¿cierto? I'd like to talk about the time when okay. Puede ser también una introductoria. Okay, so we have this one, right? Sorry. When for example, here, I like to talk about the time when I played soccer, yes? Or the time when I was at the university, or the time when yes? So, when y lo que sea que sucedió en ese momento, ¿sí? Y también I'm going to tell you about something unforgettable that happened to me. Yes. I'm going to tell you about something unforgettable that happened to me. Right? So we have 1, 2, and 3. Yes? Good. And then we have background. When we say background, so we're like the context, a little bit of context. Yes? Which expressions do you think are useful to refer to the background?
I was living in the
I was living in the city at the time. Yes? Good. Yeah.
okay.
I was living in the city at that time. Decimos background es como el contexto, lo que estaba pasando en ese momento, ¿sí? Entonces una sería I was living, dependiendo de donde estaba viviendo. I was living in my parents' house. I was living in the city. I was living in Cucuta, or I was living in, right? It depends on the city that I was living in. I was living in an apartment at that time, yes. I was living with my sister at that time. O sea, aquí puede ir cualquier cosa. Estaba viviendo con o estaba viviendo en at that time, ¿cierto? Dice in the city se puede modificar. ¿Qué otra sería? Entonces estas serían las de context. I was living in the city at that time. ¿Qué otra nos da un poco de contexto?
This made me realize something important.
Bueno, lo que se considera importante sería cuando estamos haciendo el wrapping up, ¿no? Sería más right? Cuando decimos por qué fue importante o por qué lo recuerdo. O qué significó para mí. Ahí sería como el wrapping up. En el background, o algo parecido a esto que tenemos aquí inicialmente, que sería at that time I was, en ese momento yo estaba, o yo era, o yo tenía, ¿no? Entonces yo puedo decir, at the time I was a university student, yes. No tienen que usarlas todas, ¿no? Sino una que les guste, ¿no? De estas. Yo puedo usar esta, I was a university student at the time, or at the time I was a university student, or I was 18, ¿sí? Si quiere decir la edad, ¿cierto? Or I was a teenager, or I was a child, ¿sí? Ok. Puedo estar combinando una con la otra, ¿ok? Y la última sería, this took place a few years ago. Esto sucedió, puede ser, this took place in 2020, or this took place in 2013, yes? Or this took place a few years ago. Y esta palabra years la puedo reemplazar por semanas si fue hace unas semanas, por meses si fue hace unos meses, hace unos pocos meses, ¿cierto? O puedo decir this took place y aquí podría decir directamente el año, ¿no? In 2013. O sea, puede ser cualquiera de las dos. O digo el cuándo exactamente o digo un aproximado, ¿cierto? ¿Qué? This took place before the pandemic, right? Okay, now let's pay attention to the action. ¿Cuáles de estas expresiones nos pueden llevar a esa parte de action, a la acción.
Suddenly.
Suddenly. Yes, suddenly. Si hay un cambio de algo, uno dice suddenly, de repente pasó tal cosa, ¿no? Suddenly. Good. ¿Qué otra? Que nos lleve a una acción. Suddenly.
Later.
Later on, yes. Good. Later on. And the last one. Nope.
What happened next was.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. What happened? What happened next was. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. And finally, wrapping up. Y ahora sí las que son de wrapping up. Y ese wrapping up sería como una conclusión. Y esa conclusión en este caso podría ser algo que entendí, que comprendí, eso me ayudó a darme cuenta, realize es como darse cuenta de algo, ¿cierto? When I look back on that story now, I feel, ¿cierto? Cuando vuelvo a ver esa historia ahora, me siento de tal manera. After all this, I learned that, después de todo esto aprendí que, entonces depende de lo que ustedes quieran decir. Si se dieron cuenta de algo, si ahora se sienten diferentes respecto a la historia o si todavía se sienten de tal manera respecto a la historia o si quieren contar qué aprendieron, ¿no? ¿Ok? Entonces tenemos estas expresiones, ¿cierto? Las de amarillo que serían las últimas. This made me realize something important. This made me realize something important, right? Good. Or when I look back on that story now, I feel, right? When I look back on that story, I feel, bueno, ahí está la expresión. Oh, after all this, I learned that, ¿sí? Okay. Pueden ser cualquiera de esas tres, ¿ok? Good. ¿Tienen alguna pregunta sobre estas? ¿No? Pueden usar cualquiera de las expresiones que están ahí, no tienen que usarlas todas, es una de las expresiones. Si quieren usar expresiones diferentes también, ¿sí? Pero estas nos ayudan como a darle una estructura, ¿sí? Entonces tenemos introduction, background, action, and wrapping up. ¿Okay? Acuérdense que el wrapping up es para decir why was important, ¿cierto? Vamos a ponerlo aquí en otro, como en otro color. Okay, let's use this one here. Okay, so in this one, we would say why it was important, right? Say why it was important for you or to you, or why you remember it, right? Estas son las preguntas que generalmente responden a este wrapping up, okay? Que no se nos olvide eso, ¿no? Okay, good. Okay, now we're going to listen to a person telling us a story about it. Okay. Y ahí vamos a identificar de qué se trata esa historia de ella. Okay. Vamos, ustedes me dicen si se escucha bien o si no. Okay. Entonces miremos la situación. Telling stories.
Laura, why are you late?
Sorry. ¿Ustedes no están escuchando? Si están escuchando, no es cierto.
No, teacher.
Perdón, aquí. Ya voy para el video. Ahora sí, sí.
Yeah, now yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Laura, why are you late? We've been waiting for you.
I'm sorry. You wouldn't believe the journey I've had this morning.
Go on. This better be a good story.
While walking down the street to the train station, I noticed that there were far fewer people on the street than usual. In fact, I realized that I hadn't seen anyone else since I left my apartment and started walking. Just as I was thinking about how strange the situation was, a loud voice suddenly shouted out, "Do not move!"
Okay. I'm listening.
Obviously, this gave me a nasty shock, and I almost jumped out of my skin. This area is restricted due to a dangerous animal being on the loose, continued the voice. It goes without saying that this made me feel extremely nervous.
So, what happened next?
Well, just as I started to approach what was happening, I heard a loud roar from behind me. I spun around, and in one heart-stopping moment, I realized that a fully grown adult hippo was charging towards me. I had no idea that they could run so quickly.
So, what did you do?
I started running. But all the time, I could hear the thunder of the running hippo's footsteps behind me. It was getting closer and closer until it felt like it was almost on top of me. At the last second, I jumped over a wall on the side of the road.
Oh, wow! And what happened to the hippo?
I have no idea. I just kept running to the train station.
Wow! What an incredible story! Please don't worry about being late. I completely understand. Oh! My phone is ringing. Please, excuse me for a moment.
That was an amazing story. Was it really true?
Not at all. I actually just slept through my alarm. Don't tell John.
So based on this story, it was true or it was real or it was invented? It was fictional or it was true or it was real? Do you want to listen to
This
that
story
again?
is invented.
It's what is it?
Invented.
It was invented. Yes, she made it up. In English, would say she made it up, right? Make up pueden ser muchas cosas. En este contexto sería inventar algo. She made it up, right? Okay, so what is the story that she says? Do you remember? ¿Se acuerdan como de qué dijo ella? Why was she late? She was at the train station, and what happened when she was going to take the train? Not really. We can just use the captions here and try to check it out. Okay.
I'm sorry. You wouldn't believe the journey I've had this morning.
This is an expression that is kind of useful, right? You wouldn't believe the journey I've had this morning. No creerías como lo que tuve que pasar esta mañana, right? Good. And she says something about, I realized that I hadn't seen anyone else since I left my apartment.
Anyone else since I left my apartment and started walking. Just as I was thinking about how strange the situation was, a loud voice suddenly shouted out, "Do not move!"
Okay. I'm listening.
Obviously,
This is a story about this area is restricted due to dangerous animal being on the loose. Eso es una expresión para decir que se ha restringido el área debido a un animal peligroso que está suelto. And dangerous animals being on the loose, yes? Do you remember what animal she talked about? A tiger? No. We can listen.
this gave me a nasty shock and I almost jumped out of my skin. This area is restricted due to a dangerous animal being on the loose, continued the voice. It goes without saying that this made me feel extremely nervous.
So, what happened next?
Well, just as I started to approach what was happening, I heard a loud roar from behind me. I spun around, and in one heart-stopping moment, I realized.
In one heart-stopping moment. Como en un momento de mucho susto, una forma de decirlo, one heart-stopping moment, que se me detiene el corazón, ¿no?
That a fully grown adult hippo was charging towards me.
A fully grown adult hippo. So that is the story. That is the animal that she's talking about. A fully
grown adult hippo was charging towards me. I had no idea they could run so quickly.
So, what did you do?
I started running. But all the time I could hear the thunder of the running hippo's footsteps behind me. It was getting closer and closer until it felt like it was almost on top of me. At the last second, I jumped over a wall on the side of the road.
Oh, wow! And what happened to the hippo?
I have no idea. I just kept running to the train station.
Okay. Well, if you want, you can invent a story, or if you want, you can tell a true story. Remember that one of the things that we need to consider to tell this story is this part, yes? It's, to tell an anecdote about something that changed in your life after 2020. Talk about details, what happened when it actually changed. Algo que cambió en sus vidas después del 2020. Esta es una sugerencia, ¿cierto? No sé si estamos viendo aquí. Sí, ajá. Pero si ustedes quieren, también pueden contar cualquier anécdota realmente, ¿no? Es la sugerencia que hay en la plataforma. Si quieren hablar de un momento importante, por qué fue importante, no tiene que ser necesariamente sobre algo que haya sucedido en el 2020, ¿no? Puede ser algo de la niñez o puede ser algo de la adolescencia, ¿ok? Importante que en el video ustedes sean los que hablan y también si se puede ver la cara o el rostro de ustedes sería genial, ¿ok? Good. Any questions? ¿Tienen alguna pregunta? Daniel or Aymar, do you have any questions?
Teacher, I have a question.
Okay.
When they course finalizes the records, o sea que si las grabaciones de las clases van a estar en YouTube.
Sí.
Ah, ok.
Sí, eso no. Ahí quedan. A veces YouTube baja algunos videos. Pero ahí quedan las clases, sí. Queda como el playlist de esas clases, ¿ok?
Teacher, what is the duration of video?
Of the video, it doesn't have to be long. You just need to cover the aspects that we consider here, yes? So like this structure, you don't really need it to be so long. Just make sure that you cover these 4 aspects, que se cubran estos 4 aspectos y que usen expresiones de las que aprendimos o similares, pero que estén relacionadas con introduction, background, action or wrapping up. ¿Okay? Sí. Este video que acabamos de ver dura 2 minutos 50. Yo creo que en 2 minutos se cuenta una historia bien contada. Una anécdota, pues. Una anécdota no es algo tan extenso, ¿cierto? Mínimo, pensaría que en ese tiempo, 1 minuto y medio, 2 minutos, pensaría yo. ¿Ok? Any other question? No? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Aymar Daniel, for being here. Luna was here, but she left. So thank you, you two, for being here today. Okay. Tomorrow we have class at 3:30 again. Sorry, at 3 p.m. again, right? So hope to see you tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Bye bye.
Teacher, teacher, the homework is tomorrow?
Hasta el 11 tienen plazo de enviar todas las actividades. ¿Listo?
Okay, teacher. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.